3 years ago, our everyday would start with like Google it. But now, like even a 9-year-old is like, chat with ChatGPT or a Gemini and try to understand like how do I go about it.
Hi everyone, thank you for joining. As most of you know, if you guys are rejoining our sessions, myself Saritha, been in the industry for over 18 years now, will be your moderator for today, and we have a very exciting topic on the impact of the AI in the various spaces of drug development, be it on regulatory drug development and medical devices. So we have Gayathri Tadinada. She is very passionate about driving the future of life sciences with AI at Slickbit technologies. With over 12 years of experience in life sciences and a strong foundation as an IIT alumna, she has led complex, high-impact tech initiatives across the drug development life cycle. She also worked with Novartis earlier, and she played a pivotal role in implementing regulatory information management systems and delivering digital solutions that modernize regulatory operations. Gayatri's work has consistently bridged the gap between deep industry knowledge and emerging technology. Today, as a lead at Slickbit Technologies, she is building the life sciences portfolio with the next generation AI solutions to accelerate drug development and regulatory innovations. Gayatri brings a rare combination of domain depth, execution experience, and forward looking vision, making her a leading voice in the evolution of life sciences technology. With that, please join me in welcoming Gayatri Rao for our today's session. All over to you, Gayatri.
Thanks for the introduction, Saritha. So, as I've spent enough amount of time across various areas in the drug development life cycle, I see the potential that AI would bring about in the next probably decade and how it's going to reshape and redefine what we are seeing today. I see the opportunities are immense. I think anybody who's been in the industry long enough would definitely know or have seen these numbers at some or the other point that it takes around 10 to 12 years to get a drug to the market, around $2 billion spend, and any submission, any normal average submission that goes out to the health authorities upwards of 500,000 pages. Yet 9 out of 10 drugs that go into clinical trials fail to reach the market. Anybody who would have spent any amount of time would have seen these numbers over and in multiple ways being discussed and talked about. So also I think when you would have seen these numbers, it's imperative to understand that any single number that I'm demoing here, any single number that is being shown here, if it is optimized in even the minutest manners, it changes the entire landscape of the industry and benefits the biggest stakeholder here, which is the patient. So even if that 10 to 12 year comes down by like 6 months, it's millions of dollars and 6 months more of life-saving drugs going out to a patient. A $2 billion, even by a margin of 0.01%, brings about a huge change in the way industry would change. 500,000 pages, imagine the amount of manual hours that go into first draft the 500,000 pages, then maintain those 500,000 pages over the years. I mean, minimal time where you need to save and retain those documents is 10 years. So I think anybody who would have worked on any of these numbers can very much relate to a fact that even the minutest change in any of these numbers is like a huge opportunity. Given what AI has brought about now, and especially over the last 2 to 3 years, there is a huge market opportunity to unlock. I mean, this is McKinsey, like 2022, ChatGPT launched, 2023, McKinsey came up with this report, and their recent numbers look even bigger. So this is the overall opportunity that could be unlocked in a year if the AI technologies as they stand today are implemented well in each of the areas. Like I said, reduction of cost, bringing down the timelines, and efficiency in any single document that is written. Like even one document, you bring down the time of writing that document from 6 months to 4 months to 3 weeks to one day. Just the amount of opportunity it unlocks is immense. And like I said, it benefits the biggest stakeholder in this industry, which is the patient. Before I set out and talk about what I would want to discuss today, it's always good to baseline what is AI. Everybody has a definition of what is AI. It's not something new. I mean, it has been around years now. AI, as it's being spoken today, as on date, is a lot because of what ChatGPT came up, I think November 2022. From then until now, which is like 2.5 years, what we talk more in terms of AI is the generative AI part of it, wherein, like, it helps you generate. Super AI is the AI which is the AGI battle, which is yet to come and which is like more futuristic in terms of, I mean, it would be like a dream situation where, like, I have a super AI handling my laundry, handling my dinner plans, and all of that. So it's like a replication of human intelligence. We're getting there, but like super AI is the next stage to what AI we would be talking about. But a lot of AI that we would be talking today is a generative AI. So like I said, I mean, all of us would have tried, like, text in multiple ways. It could be like emails, approvals, drafting our kids, like, project plans or assessments, any of that. We would have used it in like multiple ways. And also like generating of images, videos, analysis, predictions, mathematical calculations, all of that, a lot of it we use and interact is the generative AI piece. And this whole generative AI piece is led by the large language model era. And this large language model era was pretty much triggered by the change in technology which brought about this era was transformers. So what large language models have done to our lives and to AI is that it has democratized it. And now large language models have brought about so much more intelligence into everybody's hands. Now, even the basic thing, like until just 3 years ago, our everyday would start with like, Google it. But now, like even a 9-year-old is like, just like chat with ChatGPT or a Gemini and try to understand, like, how do I go about it? Extent of context that these large language models understand and that is put in your hands has really unleashed a new era in AI technologies. Moving to the core of the discussion today, which is like, AI in the pharmaceutical operations. As an industry, what we are is very information driven. Anything that we do has some or the other baseline and some or the other text or documents. It always drills down to like a literary publication or like a Word or an Excel or a PDF. So all of it, like if you drill down the essence of the industry and the knowledge base of the industry, it would be everything to do with text and documents. A lot of times we just like our everyday routine is around like some or the other document management system, trying to see which is the version, which is the latest one, what is it that I need to do next, what is it that I need to know now. So all this information now can be synthesized and can be synthesized at scale, not just at an individual document level, but it can be done at scale. Also, every time I talk about like generative AI or AI in terms of what it can help with documents and text, the biggest thing it boils down to is generation of content, which I think all of us would have experienced. Generation of content, summarizing content, translating content, and then analyzing. Analyzing is like information synthesis. It could be in multiple ways. It could be extraction, classification, predicting, deriving trends. And all of that, when given the right context to one or multiple LLMs put together, is like just unleashed a brain in a manner where, they just start thinking and coming up with an outcome, which is useful. Patient enrollment. I think patient enrollment is one of the biggest, is a cause of 90% of clinical trials failing out because patient enrollment wasn't great. When I say AI, like, using multiple LLMs on top of real world data, trying to see where exactly for this particular trial can I find a fitment wherein my patient enrollment could be, optimized, and always ensuring that patient enrollment hits the numbers even before my study starts is a huge plus. I mean, it might just increase the number of clinical trial success by that 1%. But again, that is so much more addition to the overall cause, what we are trying to achieve here. Protocol design is one of my favorite things, which we've been trying to tackle in multiple ways. Protocol design is a very operational and a strategic activity. What goes into a protocol, what exactly is the outcome of the trial, all of that is a lot of like summarizing, analyzing, putting things together, coming up with the first draft, discussing, then strategizing, whether this protocol might help me lead to the end outcome. All of this the timeline can be brought down by using AI and helping it come up with the first draft. As long as your AI is able to synthesize all of the information that is available in an ecosystem and give you a first draft, it's always a good place to start. It's easier to question when you have something in place rather than like, writing the first ABCD. And that helps so much more. Also, while drafting these protocols, like I said, using AI and LLM tools, you can understand, what has been your history with running clinical trials in this disease area, with this therapeutic indication, with this input output criteria, and what was the success rate, and what exactly should we consider while building this protocol. Considering all of this, because LLMs today can think at scale. So they could think all of this at scale and help you draft your first protocol, first draft. And obviously, on top of it, there would be a human loop wherein there would be like strategy and analyzing whether it aligns with the goals of the company. But just that first draft would help you like bring down so much more time in your clinical operational activity. Coming to hospitals and site and managing clinical trials at site, just helping classify the data, ensuring that, it gives the first level of classification on top of which the overworked TMF specialist or the site team has an access that, already a part of their work has been done. And then verifying on top really reduces the operational burden on a site which is actually running the clinical trial. Then coming to patient companionship, a lot of times, like as of now, AI agents as conversational agents are doing a great work. When it is built on, I mean, I could unleash it on LLM directly. I mean, LLM might handle the answer itself, but let's say I want to do it for a drug which is in the clinical trial space and has very specific information. Then using the right architectural model and I build these patient companion agents, it gives more legible and trustable data, which a patient can rely on while they can eventually then reach out to either the site or the sponsor to further understand what they could go ahead with. Trial monitoring and optimizing study. I think I'll have to deal them both. Like optimizing study startups, again, like a huge amount of input goes in just identifying what should be the sites where we should be running a clinical trial, who should be the principal investigator, then what should be the timelines, what kind of patient enrollment would we be able to hit at each of the sites, how many global trials should we do, which countries should we be accessing. It's a lot of activity which is done at scale. And again, LLMs today, the way the models are built, if architectured correctly, can help at least give entry solution to this problem, which obviously a human would have to then further verify on top. And monitoring of trials, again, this is an upfront activity to predict what could possibly happen at this site, and giving this overview at a sponsor level would really enable a sponsor to take the right decisions at the right time and not like a react decision later. Moving from clinical operations to regulatory affairs. Regulatory affairs end to end is a lot to do with documentation, coordination, and strategizing. A lot of times, I understand, because I've worked closely with regulatory teams also, is spent on just identifying the source document, then identifying relevant sections of the source document, and ensuring they are at the right sections in the target document. This could be for label, this could be for ECTD, which is a mammoth in itself, translating at each country level, and then the moment you put a global trial, not just a trial, even a global drug which is out in the market, the complexity is just at another level. And there are like teams and teams of people who are just trying to like figure out what happened where. Having an oversight on what is happening where is a challenge. So directly, I mean, initiating a program where AI could tackle this problem is a blue sky vision. I mean, that would need more leadership than anything else. But there's so many operational activities which AI solutions can optimize at a documentation level, which can at least reduce the operational burden on a individual who's working on these activities. ECTD is a mammoth. Just managing every single document, their subsequent sequences, and then the versioning of each of those sequences is so much of a task. So the operational burden on each of the individual to handle these mammoth dossiers across globes could be really brought down if AI technology is put in the right places. Just one single ECTD document, if I have the draft ready by the time reviewer comes and starts looking into it, would so much more help to focus on strategy than on the operational burden of creating it right. Label variations, I mean, across each country, across languages, across translations, a lot of time is just spent understanding what has happened where. And LLM identify differences in context. It is not that they would identify a difference which is very word to word, which is what was the technology before, but now they understand the differences in context. It would really help the associate who's working on that to strategize and focus more on what they should do from a strategy standpoint than the operational burden of writing all of this. Moving to the safety part of it. I think the safety part of it, again, there is like each of these areas, there's so much operational burden that every individual is focused on, which could be really brought down or eased out for them to help them focus on slightly more strategic tasks. I mean, case data processing end to end is something which currently AI solutions and maybe subsequently talk about agentic AI solutions can very well handle end to end, right? From receiving a case to ensuring that's in the right format, ensuring that it is triaged with the right set of doctors or medical professionals, ensure that it is, meeting the timeline. end to end, if we at least help with easing out the text, the documentation, receiving of calls, ensuring everything that was spoken there is captured, avoiding human errors, reducing the layer of human errors, all of this brings down so much operational burden on the individual who's actually working on it. And end to end, PSURs, DSURs, which are drafted on an annual basis, they're like standard annual or whatever is the period that they are supposed to be drafted in, straightforward documents which need to be sent out every, and you're aware what has to go into it, what has to come into it. So all of those operational activities, a first cut can definitely be given by the current AI solutions that are available. I think if I spoke about commercial, regulatory, and safety as one bucket, commercial is altogether a different bucket. Then personalizing the content, drafting creatives. I mean, a lot of times it could be like the email that you want to draft or any marketing or creative content that you create. If you prompt the LLM right, it would help you at least spark the creative brain, which is oftentimes a great place to start. Anytime there is communication that has to go out, even at enterprise grade, if there's a communication that has to be go out, that has to be drafted, redrafted, ensuring that it's meeting the right language, ensuring that it's meeting the right regulation. All of this AI solutions could help and really reduce the amount of oversight that is spent on it. And now I'm sure you would have heard about the wave of agentic AI. So the pace at which technology is changing is too fast. I mean, it was just like probably, like I said, just 2.5 years back where we're talking about generative AI, everybody was stunned with the possibilities that you could do with ChatGPT or DALI. Then everybody like was experimenting with then Gemini, then Meta in your WhatsApp, and then everything was like so new, and people are trying to figure out whether this makes sense. What can I do with it? What all automations can I build with this? And while you're thinking about those technologies, there's already a new wave that has come in, which is agentic AI. So agentic AI, in my opinion, is like automation on top of like generative AI. But it's not the classical automation that probably I would have spoken like 10 years back, because the scale at which these LLMs and agentic solutions can handle a task, can comprehend the complexity, is entirely different. So let's say I was building a robotic process automation some 8 to 10 years back. I would be surprised if, it was able to handle 10 documents and then ensure that those documents went into my workflow, went into the right person, went for approvals and all of that. But today, when I look at things, the number of data points that we're talking about has entirely changed. The extent to which they can comprehend, the extent to which they can process it, and the extent to which now with agentic solutions they can also execute, not just process and provide, but at the same time go ahead and execute, is at a different scale altogether today. So I think now we've spoken about the possibilities, we should definitely talk about the challenges that lie ahead. There is like immense amount of possibility what the AI solutions can do, given that we are a regulated industry, and always, like, if you look at the chain of digital maturity in terms of technology adoption, the pharmaceutical industry comes, I think, just above government and education. So the scale of digital adoption in industry is super low. Also, the pace of change is sluggish because it's only over the years that a new drug or a new innovation comes to the market. Pretty much like a lot of new molecules that have happened over the years. Innovation or a new era of innovation comes in not like tech, which is I learned a technology today and I'm already outdated tomorrow. The pace is not like that. If you're using a pre-trained model, any data that you put on top of it is not being used further to train that model. Even if it does, chances that that specific information gets leaked, I mean, somebody would have to really prompt it in a very malicious direction to help to ensure that that specific information gets leaked. But yes, there are concerns around privacy, leak of intellectual property, existing information or proprietary information of a company going to another company, which our standard response always to that is there was an era of cloud where everybody is worried that the moment I put my data to cloud, it would go away. But now all of us use cloud on an everyday basis. All the solutions that we're using are hosted on cloud, which gives us the flexibility to use them from anywhere. Hallucinations and bias, I think this is a key question which comes with LLMs, and this is a very relevant question because while building AI solutions, we have seen it personally also. A lot of times when you ask it to do a task X, and let's say it doesn't have information for the task X, it'll hallucinate and provide an answer, which is very much a tendency of an LLM because they're so focused on providing the next word or finishing the next task based on the question that is asked. There are a lot of engineering techniques that could help bring down these hallucinations. So it also comes to, thinking of technology in a smart way and trying to see how do you reduce the issues with the technology. The other question that comes with using AI in the pharmaceutical industry is, like I said, we are a very regulated industry. The pace of regulations changes a lot. Currently, on top of it, like the pace at which AI technology is changing is astounding. And regulators are almost always playing a catch up while the technology is just running ahead. I think steering ahead probably for all of us in real time. Then each of the regulators, they are like asking us to take a risk-based approach to technologies, but these regulations are evolving. But there is no like nothing set in stone where you can say that, okay, I have followed these guidances, I've cleared my 21 CFR Part 11 and CSV, but there is nothing such thing for AI as of now. So this also brings about a layer of complexity, especially to build like vertical AI solutions, which are very focused on a business activity. The next thing I wanted to talk about was my experience building AI solutions. So over the last 2 years, we've been working with a lot of AI solutions, especially trying to build AI solutions in the life sciences space, definitely on the operations end. So this is what I have seen and we feel makes sense. So the moment you want to like work with the AI model, they are literally wild. Some people say wild, some people say immensely knowledgeable. But in my opinion, it's like wild. It's like a jungle. Like the moment you would want to like, how do you access a aspect of that jungle is where the trick of the trade lies. So it's like wild, and they are also like wild and free. I mean, like if you let the AI model run loose, they pretty much go like helter and skelter. So building by vertical AI, we mean like, AI solutions that are very specific to a certain use case, which is not like generic. I mean, like ChatGPT gives me like a generic response, but let's say I want to build a solution that helps me handle health authority queries. So that's like building a vertical AI solution that helps me draft my response to the query and then further helps me like, predict what could be a possible query that comes in. Every time you're building AI solutions which are focused in a vertical, you'd be at a point definitely surprised at the immensity of knowledge that they have. But then when you're trying to tame them and trying to ensure that your outcome is just in the direction that you want, that needs a lot of context from your end and also some amount of smart engineering to see that, they are like really focused. It's like really taming a wild horse, which could have literally gone helter-skelter into a forest. A lot of specific information in each of the operational area, the LLMs understand. They understand it from multiple sources that are available either on the web or in literary sources, all from publications. But definitely, I spoke about hallucinations, and the other thing is consistency. Trying to get them to always come up with the same response, and if a response is not available, not to hallucinate on the response is a trick. And a lot of smart engineering is required there. But the best part is that smart engineering is again natural language. So as long as you can comprehend something in natural language and understand why the LLM is thinking like that, you could still unleash what you want out of the LLM. And if you have a clear cut focus that this is the outcome that I'm looking at, all that you have to do is tell it out in natural language to the LLM. A lot of development activities that we also do is again natural language. So it could be the prompt that a user is giving or what we do in development. Both ways, it's natural language, which really eases out in terms of how do you comprehend the outcome of a solution. When you have to scale something like building at an enterprise scale, then it's a trade-off. Like always, it's a trade-off that what is the cost and time that we're ready to spend and what is the resources that we're ready to spend. But while I spoke a lot about like vertical AI solutions which are focused to the industry, there are a lot of vertical AI solutions that have come up now, which is focused to the software engineering part of it. I'm sure you would have heard, like, if you have to build a website the way you want to build it, you no longer need to go anywhere. You could just sit on like a GPT for like probably a couple of hours. It'll help you how to go about it. It'll tell you how to deploy it, and you're done. So not just that, like if you want to build something which is like a personal assistant, which you want to run in a certain way, all that you need to do is like some smart prompting, which is all natural language again. And all of this you can do in few hours. It's not even few days. Just like 4 to 5 years ago, all of this you would probably have to, go to a software engineer who helps you do that. But no longer. Now you could just very much sit on a GPT or Gemini or any of the coding tools that are available, and everything in natural language, you have an outcome. But the moment something has to scale and something has to look good at an enterprise grade, which is like vertical AI, the other important thing on top of like, ensuring the minimum hallucinations, there's good consistency, is providing good data. I think this has been said over the years now, and nobody can deny the fact it's still garbage in and garbage out. And one last thing that I wanted to say while building vertical AI solutions, definitely if it goes to a scale of a enterprise, is that anything big to be achieved in a complex organization technically now is very much feasible, and it is also very much democratized. Actually, even the teams in an organization can figure that out. So if there is some amount of like commitment and a clear roadmap, that is, I think, 80% of the problem. Actually addressing the issue in a technology standpoint today is brought down to like just 20% of the problem. Is it even worth making the effort to like, build something in AI where I have so much knowledge, I might do it faster? And I mean, the amount of time that I spend explaining to somebody, or, spend explaining building it, I might as well finish it myself. That's always true. But I think at this age, I would say it doesn't hold good for a individual or a team or an organization at scale. It's good to learn, it's good to build something, it's good to fail than not trying it at all. Because as we see it, this technology is going to reshape the next 10 years of our life. So it's better to try, it's better to fail, it's better to know what works, what doesn't, than not doing it at all.
All right, great. Thank you. We have a lot of questions coming in already, Gayatri. The first question what we have is how can we use AI during study conduct for data cleaning, data review, and the data operations related activities, Gayatri?
Yeah. So I think study conduct, like I spoke before. So I would say it's easier to think of any problem in a manner like, what is possible with AI and how do I layer with my understanding of what exists. Anywhere where you're looking to draft a document, I would say it makes sense to have a AI layer on top of it. Anywhere where you're trying to like, analyze a certain text, build an insight on top of it, try to do like a trend analysis, or like, because in study conduct there's so much of like, taking of information. Actually, I mean, voice agents today are like amazing. So just like, enabling voice agent to take down that information for you. I think the best thing that somebody told me, and I always give with me, is anything that you think that you don't want to do, that you just don't like doing, you should ask your AI to do it. Actually, if it's too boring, too dull, repetitive for you to do, I think you should introduce a AI agent there.
But there are a lot of AI tools now. How do you choose which AI tools are good to start with for someone who is learning it? So, what are your recommendations based on your experience, Gayatri, to learn and to start with experimenting?
Okay. So if you haven't touched ChatGPT, Gemini, or Meta till date, definitely do that. If you have already done those, you have played your hands around with it. I would say like Google or probably GPT, these two terms, there's something called vibe coding and there's something called meta prompting. There are a lot of like vibe coding solutions as of now. It's not that I'm expecting you to like, code or do something. It's just for you to understand the possibility of what exists. What natural language communication today can help you build or can help you like, explore and experiment. So there are a lot of tools that have come up now, like probably a cursor, a lovable, or bolt, which help you just build something in case you want to like try anything. A personal assistant also, it helps you build. At the same time, there are like a lot of productivity tools that have come up. Again, all natural language. I mean, there are tools like Napkin AI, Gamma, which helps you like, build presentations. So I would say anything wherein there is an influx of natural language and it helps you like, see an outcome of it, you should definitely try with it, because you would understand what are the limits and what are the possibilities.
And then we have another question is that there is a lot of spectacle from pharma companies to use the AI in the current days. And based on your journey, which AI project had the biggest impact for pharma organizations and what ways you have got their trust?
I think a lot of organizations as of now are still in the experimentation phase. Like unlocking the whole potential at an enterprise scale takes time. Like I said, I mean, there is a digital maturity curve that has to be crossed. Your data needs to be properly in place. You're like, integrating systems, because organizations are complex. They would have systems which are still like, of the DOS era. And then there are systems which are of probably the internet on-prem era, the cloud era, and today. So unlocking all of this at scale, I think we would subsequently see it over the next few years. From our experience, a lot of things that we have done is around like, content generation, content writing, classification, extraction, information synthesis. So all of these productivity tools, as of now, I think organizations are investing and exploring with. But at scale, changing the landscape of drug development, I know there are organizations who are doing that. But personally, we're doing a lot of productivity tools.
Okay, got it. I totally echo on it. And our next question is, have you come across the use of quantum technologies in drug discovery and clinical trials? And are you familiar with Government of India's National Quantum Mission and its potential impact on the pharmaceutical research?
I've heard about all of this, but personally, I've not explored this technology myself. I do keep reading about it, so my information would be as good as yours. What is available publicly, the possibility that, I mean, it also is said that, if quantum technology is brought in, like what we see in terms of LLMs, generative AI, agentic AI, or super AI would be entirely washed away, and there'll be like a new wave that we'll be seeing altogether. My opinion as on date is everything that I've read, but I do not have any hands-on. So yes, I'm aware of the quantum mission. I do not have an opinion of my own to talk about because I've not personally explored it hands-on.
We have another interesting question, Gayatri. That the follow-up question was, what are the aspects, especially those who are pursuing their careers for the jobs,
Okay.
should focus on from AI perspective, Gayatri?
Okay, from an AI perspective, I would definitely say, like I said even before, experiment, explore, understand what this technology offers, see how it can empower you. Keep pace with what are the changes that are coming about in these technologies and how it could, like, I mean, even for the moment you enter into the job space, I'm sure you'll be reporting into people who are not as aware and not as savvy. You would be coming in as a AI native, like, there were digital natives before, but you'll be coming in as a AI native. You would already have used Perplexity before you would have probably used or tried around with Google. So try to think AI first. Come with a mindset that what could I automate from an AI standpoint that would make something as mundane as, I'm sure, like a lot of times when you enter into the industry, the first few years, either you're spending on Excel or a Word. How do I make that better? So come with the AI first focus, know what this technology can offer, and start infusing that into your while you enter the job force.
All right, absolutely agree with you, Gayatri. I see Ram has raised the hand. Go ahead, Ram. You could unmute yourself and share your thoughts.
So we are on time, and I want to congratulate Gayatri and Saritha. This is our first woman panel, all women panel. Very exciting. And also to see the questions that are coming up, like they're just flowing, they're not stopping. I don't know if I'm stopping with this, but I want to congratulate you. And also, I want to congratulate you for choosing the most innovative field. That's pretty much like the way the AI is being adapted in a very heavy manner after software. But I think the life sciences industry is going to see a tremendous amount of impact. Probably we are going to see a drug getting discovered from garage soon. And I wish you all the best and hope to see your name shine in the India AI landscape. Thank you for being our panelist.
And thank you for the kind words.
Thank you so much, Gayatri. And I must echo with what Ram has said. And I was very happy when I have seen you as one of our speakers. I know we could not get you on board a little earlier for different priorities. But then I'm very happy that we are finally able to meet up and very glad to have this conversation, Gayatri. Hopefully, we should catch up sometime later as well after this session. And wishing you all the very best. I wish you and I look forward to see your name shine in the industry, Gayatri. And I really appreciate all the participants and for all their questions to make it very interactive. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining today. And we will have our next session with another interesting speaker lined up for next week.